Hi, beautiful people.
Welcome back to our channel. We're awesome Ukrainians.
Today we are starting a set of videos, guys, about difficulties that us immigrants facing on the daily basis since we moved to the United States. And the most obvious difficulty is, of course, English language. You would think that it's so evident that, yes, foreign language, you would have an issues when you move to a different country, even when you just go as a traveler. However, we would like to share our funny and curious and interesting stories that happen to us every single day.
You've made a very valid point, saying that it might seem so evident, but it's actually not. And I'll try to explain why. It's not a matter of just learning English and reaching some level of proficiency and fluency. When you're just grasping this language to the point you can speak freely with different people on different occasional matters, topics, or your professional ones. In fact, it's a huge trade-off, a huge psychological and cognitive trade-off. So when I post my videos or my written posts somewhere in the social media, my Russian-speaking and Ukrainian-speaking audience, they usually say that my speech is so grammatically correct, educated, and eloquent that they really enjoy reading and listening to me. But I know, and I'm fully positive that it's not the case within the English-speaking community, right? You have to come to terms with this realization. Then when you come here, you give up part of your personality or your identity because you are not perceived as that smart, intelligent, educated person anymore, like it was back then in Ukraine. Will you agree with me?
Absolutely. And I would even say that certain gaps in certain, especially areas that maybe we don't use daily, this leak of terminology, you almost feel like you have a language disability. I wish that it's kind of thing that you can tell that I'm very sorry, I have this little disability. But as of me, I'm doing my best to hide this. And I've noticed that you mentioned about personality. I've noticed on myself that my personality in communication with English native speakers, I use a lot of gests to compensate certain words. I use a lot of humor instead of look funny. I prefer to look silly to compensate this situation that maybe I'm not that knowledgeable, not theoretically, but not knowledgeable in vocabulary. My vocabulary is not that great. And again, I would like to tell a little bit my background. When I moved here almost 8 years ago to the United States, to northern Minnesota from Ukraine, I was pretty sure that my English is good enough to express myself with no issues because I was talking to my husband every day. We had no issues understanding each other almost for 2 years. So I thought, well, if he can understand me easy, anybody can understand me. If I can understand him with no issues, would be the same. I can understand everybody. And guess what happened? My husband, he just simplified his language so I could understand him with no issues, simplified to the level of maybe 7th grade child. That's why we had absolutely no problem with understanding each other in communications on daily basis. But when you meet, when I met all native speakers since I moved here, I got it. Oh my God, my English has to be improved if I would be, if I want at least to be same advanced in expressing myself at least to 70% at what I can express myself in my native language. Did you have a feeling like this?
Oh, for sure. So I just want to start. You were saying about gestures and such, and my husband was always like, "Why you're so animated? Why your gestures are so vivid?" Because it's my way to convey my thoughts because they're actually helping communicate.
I almost feel that I'm Italian,
Yeah,
trying to express myself.
like Italians here. So when I came here, my level of English was probably the same as now, because prior to that, I had been working for 2.5 years with a British company, and on the daily basis, we were communicating and having correspondence with British management and our colleagues. So, and I also could understand the local people, even though I live in the southern state. And you know that they have a very peculiar accent here. Even my husband, who is from Midwest, originally he was born in Midwest, but he has been living here for maybe already 20 years or so. He said to me, "Oh, no worries. Even I don't understand them sometimes because the this accent and pronunciation is so peculiar." I want to mention that it's not only changing your personality, it's also changing your voice timbre, inflection, cadence, or how fast you're talking in English. Because in Ukraine, I was actually way faster. And you're right that if I could go freely in Ukraine, like to pursue my career or some passion or something like this, my language barrier was not there. So I was open to new opportunities and such. And here, this lack of confidence in English is a big suppressing factor. And I'm actually so appreciative. I'm endlessly appreciative to my pen pal from America that helped me reduce that fear, like shake off those fears back then a little bit. So I came a little bit more confident. But till these days now, I need some time, like sometimes an hour, to emotionally prepare for some call to the bank or to some other company to start this communication over the phone. See? So I don't know. Sometimes it's just easier to go in and to speak in person with a.
You know, I remember myself that was such a struggle. I would sit and just stare at the phone when I needed to make a phone call, as you mentioned, to the bank or a driver's license agency or any place just to figure out some things. Because I was so worried that I wouldn't understand something, or the person on the other side of the phone wouldn't understand me. So it would take just several minutes to settle down and think and maybe even write down what I'm supposed to say, kind of to make cheat sheet for myself. That's why I think I created such a habit since I've moved to a smaller town where everything is kind of within 20 minutes of driving and not such a struggle with traffic or parking. That's why I prefer to go in person over calling on the phone and do some business, because I was just afraid not to be able to understand something over the phone. And that was actually, yeah. And you know this, I like to go to the bank or go to any other places. Oh, I better go. Even now, I have no issues to communicate over the phone.
Yeah. I mean, I hate doing this, like going somewhere and meet in person and like, spend some time commuting somewhere just to fix some issue. I like to work, like to solve my problems or tasks or errands or to solve online. And also I'm a person from the IT industry, right? So it's kind of like
professional habit.
Professional and expected. But in Ukraine, I wouldn't go in person. I'll try to do as much as I can online. But here I had to, because I had that fear. And it seems to you that every time someone hears your accent, it triggers that immigrant like kind of flag. For some reason, I don't know why, because I'm so grateful to the predominant part of American people for being so empathetic and polite and understanding. And it helps eliminate this fear of being inferior to the native speakers. And I was not bullied or something, but for some reason, I cannot just get rid of this fear. So, yeah.
You know, I have to add, you mentioned your IT profession. We did introduce ourselves in our previous videos. And if you guys haven't seen our video, our introduction video, please scroll down. You will easily find this, or maybe we can even put a little
thumbnail, right? That reference into that video. Yeah, we'll do that. We can do that.
For sure, to help our viewers to navigate our channel. So yes, I'm a registered nurse and I've been working in the hospital in different departments almost for the 7 years. And every single day I meet up to, I don't know, 20 different people, my patients, family members. So everybody has a little bit unique, I wouldn't say accent, I would say more pronunciation, because yes, it's a Minnesota accent. It's yellow, ufta, and stuff like this, which is very, very natural to my ears, because I was introduced to this accent since I moved to the United States. So when I go down south to Arizona, for example, when I hear something different, it triggers my ear because I hear a different accent. Anyway, every single person would ask me, where is my accent from? And sometimes when person does not ask me, if I'm from a different country, or some people just ask, I'm guessing that you didn't grow up in northern Minnesota. So kind of gives me this nicer way asking me where I'm from. I'm just started curious, like, what the heck? Why this person is not asking? I do not even suspect that I've some kindly magically lost my accent. It's either they have an hearing issue, or they're just so polite and they're afraid to ask.
Yeah.
I do understand that I have this accent, and by thinking more and more about this, you know, I created a little joke about this. Yeah, this is my accent. I'm not sharing, it's mine. So usually people like this joke, and they do understand that it's something unique. And if you can express yourself properly, if you show your professionalism at work, they do understand that this accent actually is nothing to do with your skills and your knowledge. However, I've met several times, unfortunately, more than I would like to. Just this brief assumption in the beginning, oh, you have an accent. You are already not that smart as everybody else around. Going through nursing school here in Minnesota, I could prove that it was harder for me than for anybody else who went through this nursing school. As soon my patient asked me and figure out that I locally went to local nursing school, they kind of get a little bit more comfortable with me, because many people have, including myself, for certain things, some kind of bias. I heard the phrase, which I cannot disagree. If you have brain, you automatically have bias to something. The difference to be able to recognize this bias and be open-minded to learn more about the situation and potentially change your opinion about something. So yeah, it's some kind of difficulties that I face every day with my accent at work. But you know, I think that my tone even doesn't bend the other way.
So speaking of accents, you know, at some point I wanted to get rid of it. I didn't like it, but over some time, I realized that it's my unique feature, my unique trait, and it's not so bad. And luckily, American people have like fewer biases towards such things like language, accent, whatever. So it's pretty, I'm pretty fine with my accent now. And as you said, our speech apparatus, it's not even designed to speak English. And like I came here when I was 37 years old. So how would I start speaking English with no accent whatsoever? No, it's not possible. The other thing, the other case, when kids come here before they turn, I think, 10 or 12,
10, yeah.
it's possible for them because they're still forming and shaping some new neural connections.
Developing.
Yeah, and the neural, the brain plasticity, neuroplasticity is much better than adults have. So it's just physical, physiological. We cannot do this. We cannot get rid of it. So I think it's fine. I think that we just need to put up with this. And I guess that I also noticed that people who have a good ear for music, they're way better at imitating accents. So their accent is not so thick, not so heavy or discernible. Do you agree with me?
Absolutely. And unfortunately, I'm this person who can sing from the deepest of my heart. However, I prefer to do this either in the car when I'm driving by myself or when I'm taking a shower, because it's really true that I don't have such a good skills in singing. And, people, anybody, we always sing and we hear that we are singing, and it's so like, especially, have you ever dreamed and like singing so loud, but nobody can hear you? But however, if you record yourself and then listen this, you're just like, oh my God. That's why I do not do karaoke, because people would just take either potatoes or not potatoes, tomatoes or eggs, and they will just throw into me and say, please shut up.
Potatoes would be a big issue, so no thanks.
Yes, I know. But you are absolutely right that people who have excellent skills, like they're just talented in singing, it's way easier to imitate or reduce or smooth the accent. For me, it's very hard. I'm trying from the deepest of my soul to pronounce as better as possible, but my tongue does not bend that way. I
would also want to elaborate a little bit on such thing as if you're an immigrant or expat and you live somewhere abroad, and it's not a country where your native language is a second language, like had American people gone somewhere to Europe, and so many European countries freely speak English, so they still feel comfortable because they're native in English in those countries. Okay, I cannot speak German, I cannot speak Dutch, but I can still speak my own language there and I will be understood. Here, it's not the case for such immigrants like us with Ola, because our brain is always in this proxy mode, because first it's shaping the thoughts in Russian or Ukrainian languages, and then it interprets to English. And it's kind of, this double load on your brains.
Right.
And maybe it causes some delay while we're trying to explain something, but there is an exception. If you start learning something already here in English in the United States, new specialty or occupation or whatever, then you form those knowledges in English and you find it difficult to explain something similar, the same to your friends or relatives there, because you don't know how it sounds in Russian or Ukrainian anymore. So it's kind of a phenomenon that happens to us immigrants. And sometimes I feel stuck, like I am not that Ukrainian anymore, and probably with specific changes in my outlook, and some impact of the local mentality on me. I'm not that Ukrainian anymore, but not an American either. So, it feels strange.
And I'll tell you the funny story. I was asked by one of my good friends, literally, they told me, hey, Ola, do you think that if I go to Ukraine and I start speaking Ukrainian language, would I sound same funny as you? And I was just standing there in front of my friend and I couldn't find anything to answer back because I was thinking, you literally know 2 words in Ukrainian language. Yes, you can say those 2 words with accent, but it limits your language to these 2 words. So what else can you say if you know only 2 words? And how smart would you sound if you know only 2 words? And it's hard to explain to people who speak only one language, native language, because you're absolutely fluent in this language. You can express yourself. You just naturally think, create a thought, open your mouth, and you place this thought in a sentence outside of your mouth, and everybody can understand you. But it's very different when you trying to create this thought in your native language, then translate this into English, and only then open your mouth with very stiff tone and express yourself. And what it makes even more difficult when you're under stress, when it's very like just life stressful situation at work, or even in discussion with your own husband, if you have a different point of view and you want to prove your point and explain yourself why this situation is, you have a different idea how to fix the situation. I'm not want to say arguing, but yes, arguing and proving your point. Under pressure, under anxiety, under stress, it even complicates all this brain process, how to express yourself. So that's why, again, I will mention this again sometimes, I just feel that I have a language disability. And I wish I have a document, but people just have to believe me. Yeah. Do you have sometimes issues discussing some, like situations that you guys have different views with your husband?
I mean, we constantly discuss such different outlooks, but yeah, when I want to vent my emotions, right? Or when I want to really prove my point and put all my effort into that, sometimes I'm out of I'm speechless. When you are emotional, when you're having this impulse, this urge of expressing as much as you can, you might find yourself in that place when you cannot even utter any word, or you are afraid to blurt out something silly, and you just don't want to sound like this.
Will tell you a little story that when I moved here, and that's just based on my personality, it is a big necessity for me personally to be unique, but to be very maybe popular a little bit. So I did have this, for example, with my financial background, working in the bank. Everybody knew who I am, which department I'm working at, not just because I had an accent, but because I was professional at certain level. And when I moved here, I was missing that because I was just, a little immigrant, little girl who started from the beginning. And by developing and advancing my skills and working more and learning more people, and more people would learn about me, this uniqueness as my accent kind of helped me and speed up this popularity around a huge big hospital. So I guarantee that at some point, yes, I'm hoping that people know who I am because I'm a good nurse. But also, every single person knows that it's Ola from Ukraine with her creepy Ukrainian accent.
Oh, no, not creepy, but yeah, I think that your accent did help you being more recognizable, and people could just remember you by your accent. So I would agree that sometimes it helps. Indeed, when we speak Russian or Ukrainian, we shape these sentences according to the grammar, and we interpret them into English verbatim. And it doesn't sound like English. So again, our language is not a polite language, as it might seem here that we're rude, mean people, and we're so impolite. It's not us, it's our language, because we have some forms that sound very mean here. So if I tell you, Ola, can you please open the window? You will be not happy if you're an American, right?
Right. Even you said the word please, the magic word, it still does not sound the way how in Native American English you would ask for favor or help. And through the years, I have learned how to ask properly my husband to be helpful around the house, or, do what I want. It's special phrases that he would say, sure, I would love to help. But if I just say, could you please do this and that, he would say, no, because it wasn't asked the way how the American culture, English, nature language would be asked for favor.
So it's just about our grammar and our sentence structures and such. So we just don't sound natural. That's it. This is
My husband always says, after hearing me talking to my mom, who by the way lives with us, she moved to our house about 2 years ago. He says, you guys always seem so mean to each other. And I'm like, no, we are not. We were just discussing what we are going to cook for dinner, or what we are going to, and when we are going shopping, and which mall, and the other girls' stuff. And he said, well, but to my ears, that's so rude how you communicate to each other.
Same. When I talk to my mom or to my friends, my husband said, oh, guys, it always seems that you're fighting with each other. But okay, let alone that sometimes we do fight with my mom. But even in those peaceful moments of just normal interaction, we do sound like we fight or we argue. And actually, one American person told me once, and they said, well, that person studied the Chinese language back then, right? So I said, what difference as a foreigner you could hear, you could notice between the Russian and Chinese language? He said, I will compare this to the musical instruments. And if the Chinese language sounds like a Magdalene instrument, guitar, the Russian language or Ukrainian language, even though the Ukrainian language is a little bit softer than Russian,
Sure. Mm-hmm.
but he said it sounds like a bass guitar, like den, 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 den.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Agree.
This is completely true. So we just sound like these guys. We're not that bad people. We're not that rude.
We are not mean. We are just awesome Ukrainians.
Yeah, I know, judging by this video, by the tone of this video, it might sound that we're complaining. But again, Ukrainians and Russians just share their thoughts and insight like this. It does seem sometimes as complaining to other nations, right? But it's not like we're
absolutely.
Actually,
I've never heard about comparison to musical instruments, but I think that it's very interesting to compare this. And when you said this, it really does make sense. You started talking a little bit and covered this from your perspective about accent and languages and learning new stuff. Me, since I went to the nursing school here in the United States, so all my nursing knowledge Yes, I did have biology and anatomy back in not grade school, in high school in Ukraine. But to be honest, never focused on this. I was kind of study to pass and forget about this. I was more focused on mathematics and all these calculations, that direction. So when I started educating myself, basically from the scratch, then started taking classes, and finally started nursing school here in the United States. All my knowledge about nursing, about body parts, about vascular system, about everything, I learned just in English. So when I was trying to explain my friends, my mom, from Ukraine, from back home, what classes I'm taking, what information, what I'm learning, I felt that I'm just dumb. I cannot express myself because I don't even know what is the name or terms for each of those subjects and specifically tools in Russian or Ukrainian, because I never learned this in Russian or Ukrainian. I learned everything in English. So by explaining even step by step my functionality at work, my skills and tools that I use, I have to use English terms and names because I have no idea what it's called, or I need to Google and look, oh yeah, I think it's right information. Did you have anything that you learned from scratch in English and you have no idea, or it's harder to express yourself and explain in Ukrainian?
Lately, I'm so interested in financial literacy and investments, in like personal investing strategies and such. And I started reading those books in 2010 in Ukraine. Those were in Russian back then. And, those were books of Kiyosaki or Boris Schäfer or even remember. I don't remember the name of the author who wrote The Richest Person in Babylon, and so on and so forth. So those were very generic knowledges about financial literacy. But here, I started when I got that access to the stock market, finally, and I had been dreaming about this like for 10 years before I even got there, is that I thought that, okay, I have money, I have savings, but how can I multiply that? Because in Ukraine, we didn't have those tools, those markets, like stock markets, accessible for like laymen, for common people. So when I got here, I dived into those details. But when people were asking me, okay, can you explain to me how it works, or what should I do? And I realized, well, what is ETF in Russian? Or how would I translate the mutual fund in Russian? I could read it literally, but it doesn't sound like this. And then I remember from my years long back in the university, because I graduated with a major in economics and marketing, that, oh yeah, we use that terms there. But it was not in my everyday life on the regular basis, so I totally forgot. And here, it was not that easy for me to even correlate those two words. So yeah, the same happened to me in terms of finances and investment. I was sitting and listening to you about your education and the studying process in college, and I was smiling and kind of on the verge of laughing. I heard that word that you said, and it's this word is focus. But
Yes.
the way we speak it, it sounds very vulgar, usually. And when I used that word in the very beginning in conversation with my parents-in-law and was my husband, he was like kind of giggling. I was like, why are you giggling? Tell this word again. And he, so that was so funny for him. And actually I felt like a fool when I realized that, yeah, it doesn't sound right. So now I'm trying to put a little bit more attention when this word pops up.
A little bit more focus.
Or he said it should be said like focus or focus, something like this. So I still cannot do it. I cannot.
You know
Different.
what? I think this is the uniqueness that you should preserve and I should preserve, and we should make people around us smile, or at least give them a point to why to smile today.
So I have we made their day today. Probably all Americans already noticed that Ukrainians and Russians, they cannot say this V sound easily, like vertical, virtually, video, because we don't have this like hard, strong V in our language. It's more like soft V, like vodka, выбор. It just don't sound like this. So every time when I said something like, okay, it's virtually, my husband was laughing at me, and he still, when I'm trying to be very strict about this sound, right, about this letter, how I pronounce it, he still speaks to me. And even though he is American, he intentionally just distort the sound, and he speaks to me with this soft V, so that
he's just having fun with you. And I'll give you my example. My mother-in-law, her name is Vicky, but sometimes, and I know that it's Vicky, it's this Vicky. However, sometimes when I'm just busy doing something and I would just talk to her, I can still say Wiki. And my husband would just giggle, same as yours. Like, she just said, I think that, when people know they're your friends, your family, they're not doing this to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
I want to believe that my husband doesn't do this because he wants to feel me stupid, maybe a little bit silly, a little bit. But when I see how much he enjoys laughing about this, I might do this in purpose too.
On purpose, yes, I agree. I mean, or saying the main words to test if you're Russian or Ukrainian, to say vodka, and everyone would say vodka. Everyone would say.
I have another. It's kind of relating to we, but not. It just reminded me about how I usually use we. So me and somebody else. Which in our Ukrainian culture, when we think about that it's me and somebody else, including the dog. So me and my dog, we went for a walk. So by saying this to my husband and saying we went for a walk, meaning that me and our dog, Bo, he always giggles at me like, who we? It was just you and a dog.
Yeah. I didn't even think about this. Maybe I didn't even know that English is not counted like the second person. Yeah, because the word, the dog, the cat, it's actually it. It's not he or she, it's it. So it cannot be.
But in our language, in Ukrainian language, in Ukrainian culture, the dog or cat, we will never say that it's it. In direct translation. It would be still count by gender if we know the gender. A boy or a girl cat, or a boy or a girl dog. That's why it's hard to transition. Absolutely right. You're 100% right that we are not Ukrainians anymore, because speaking to Ukrainian friends, they say that I've gained some kind of accent. But we are not 100% Americans yet. We work in the United States and we pay tax in the United States, which is one of the most important parts. But we kind of got stuck in between, in transition. And potentially 20 years from now, maybe 15 years from now, it will be more smooth talking in English, in American English. However, I'm a little bit afraid and a little bit concerned to lose this Ukrainian uniqueness.
I don't think that.
Have you ever heard from your friends or family that you have gained some kind of accent?
Yeah, I heard from my cousins when we talked some time ago, like maybe half a year after I moved here, maybe a year after I moved here. We don't meet too frequently, but they said, "Oh, you even sound different. You sound like you are speaking Russian with an accent." And yeah, I want to mention that before the war in Ukraine, until I was 39, I was born in eastern Ukraine in this Russian-speaking region of Ukraine. And I had been speaking Russian, and only when I was 39, I switched to the Ukrainian language. So it might seem like, why, guys, you're Ukrainian, why you still speak Russian? Because we were born in the Russian-speaking regions. Yeah, but now we're supporting our country, our motherland. So most of the cases, I speak with my friends in Ukrainian, but they were saying, you speak Russian with some strange accent now. Your intonation is different. Yeah, maybe. Also, some people actually emphasized that they see some personality changes in me. I became more self-confident here, and I don't bother about different sorts of things that I was, nervous or anxious in Ukraine.
Thinking about this more and more, I guess I would agree with you about personality change. And in my case, I feel that I'm way more easygoing person. Maybe switching the profession from working with big money and very serious people wearing suits, working at the office, now working and wearing scrubs, which pretty much reminds me of pajamas pants, working with all kinds of patients, starting from kids to the elderly, and playing a little bit different roles. I realized that I use a lot of humor. Even people are coming, obviously, to the surgery because they're having some surgical procedures. But this is my way of making them more comfortable around me right before their procedure or right after the procedure. Making it smooth and using not just silly jokes around, but making some fun statements about maybe myself, about some just fun situations, telling and sharing my experience, because I realized that people actually love listening my stories about my adaptation since I moved to the United States. Yeah, I think that it definitely affected my mind and how I perceive people, new people that I just meet. I kind of like this about myself. I used to be very serious and maybe did not smile through the day that many times, but now I have good reasons. And if I don't, I still find those reasons to smile and make people around myself smile too.
And this trait of being easygoing is Americans are very known for this trait, right?
And dear friends, I would really encourage you to ask us questions and share your thoughts. Please write comments and ask us questions. We do promise that we will answer every single comments under those videos. Ask us questions. What would be interesting from our personal experience to share with you through the immigration adaptation and putting roots and become true Americans with deep Ukrainian souls. Because I feel more and more that every day I kind of gain more and more towards to become a true American, having American mentality. And being easygoing is one of those positivities that in personality that I found for myself.
Congratulations, because I have an opinion that the first generation of immigrants, they will always stay the immigrants. They will never fully assimilate. But people are different, so who knows?
And in future videos, we will have discussions with you. Is it right?
Yeah.
I think that we have so much to share to each other and to you guys.
Yeah, so as of now, as we have already said, that we started this series of videos about not only difficulties here in the United States, but also differences between the United States and Ukraine, between these two different ways of living. But as of now, please leave the comments below. Maybe someone of you are now somewhere abroad, living as an immigrant, somewhere from the Northern America, but living as an immigrant abroad, or you have been an expat already in your life. So please share your thoughts and comments. Did you feel the same? Or maybe we're overthinking here, as sometimes Ukrainians and Russians do.
That's for sure. And please, please smash this like button below and subscribe if you haven't yet.
Yeah.
And if you found this video interesting, entertaining for you, and you would like to support our channel, please forward this video to your friends. And we would really appreciate new friends on our channel.
And I think that we need to mention what we're doing here. And this is another difference that we will be talking in the future videos about, but we're drinking tea.
We are drinking tea, the Ukrainian
Tradition.
awesome people. We drink tea. We of course drink coffee too, but we are tea people. And this is another differences between our cultures. And sometimes I feel that I have a gallon of coffee and gallon of tea per day and the same amount of water. And that's another thing, that in America, it's just must have a coffee station bar or tea station bar, which in my house it's a combination. And we'll show you my coffee station, and I'm sure that you would love to show yours too.
But that's not the story. So yeah, and stay tuned and you will see that video in the future. We're not promising that it will be the very next one, but in a few episodes, you will definitely see it.
If you have time, also write a comment about tea and coffee. If you like coffee, what kind is your favorite? And if you like tea, what favorite kind of tea do you prefer?
Maybe we'll learn something new and we will know where and how to find the good tea here in the United States. Okay, guys, we were happy to be here for you and with you. I know that it sounds silly because there are just two of us during the process of recording this video. Actually, I would love to have it as not as dialogue, but more like, you know, this conversation between so many participants. And maybe when we have at least 1,000 subscribers, we can start doing streams and we will get the questions in this live chat. And it will remind more of the, you know, this real natural conversation.
Live interaction, yes.
Yeah.
I think that it would be so fun because then people can ask the direct questions and we can just take turns and answer.
Well, I'm afraid that our videos are too long to follow our, like, you know, point. So I hope people will just stay with us till the end. And please let us know, do you want to see some shorter videos, or that's fine to have the long ones because it will be some sort of a podcast for you. Please give us a hint. What is the best format for you?
So at this point, guys, we are saying see you later. And do not forget to smash that like button below and subscribe, please.
Yes.
Bye-bye.
Awesome Ukrainians. Bye-bye. До побачення.
Bye-bye. До побачення.